We'll see how fast Ken is at it. Woo! Let's distract Ken.
I'm trying, baby.
Let's distract Ken while he's trying to get all the technology set up.
That's not to say we did.
Because he's such a technologist. Kitty.
All right.
We good?
We're live on all
Yay!
channels.
We are live. Woo!
Are we live there?
We are live on mine. Hello, everybody. All right. So we are here at Kohlberg's Law and Disorder with
wait
me,
a second.
AJ.
You're early. 5:59.
Okay.
What happens when the plane takes off early? People miss the plane.
God.
And then they complain.
Oh my God. What happened to your face? No, your mask. Ken has a lovely mask here that I really want to shoot with rubber bands. Oh, I thought this thing would work better. Okay.
Did you just shoot me with a rubber band?
Yeah, but this is really disturbing to me. I don't like this head. And he has it and he sits it up over there and I have to look at it the whole time while we're doing this. And this head is extremely disturbing. Bad head. I don't like this head. Look at this. Oh, anyway, what happened to the old clowns of Ronald McDonald being all happy and everything? Not that, oh my God. He looks like he's going to bite my head off. Oh, poor Ronald.
I love that mask.
I hate that mask. Fix your hair. There we go. Okay, so we are back. Okay, did we do good? Is it 6 o'clock now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Ken Goldberg's Law and Disorder with me, AJ, and Ken is an attorney in 3 different states. That's his slogan now. I've started this for his advertising campaign. Ken is an attorney in 3 different states. I meet people and they go, "Oh, you mean Ken, the one who's an attorney in 3 states?" I'm like, "Yeah."
One is the state of calm.
Oh.
One is the state of chaos.
Uh-huh.
And the last one is the state of Texas.
There we go. But don't tell them that. You're an attorney in Illinois, New Mexico.
Arizona.
I always get New Mexico and Arizona mixed up.
I get them mixed up.
Arizona and
I
Texas.
try to practice in New Mexico and they run me out.
I know, right? Oh, my Lordy. Ken had a popular radio show back in the day called Law and Disorder. Hence, Ken Goldberg's Law and Disorder. Here we are today. All right. So
let's rock this bad boy.
We are ready to rock bad boy. Ken and I have different kind of weeks going on here, but we're ready.
You know what?
We're ready.
That's why I pulled out the inner voice of love.
I feel like I'm sitting in an AA meeting and a topic was brought up I really don't want to hear or discuss. Okay.
Set boundaries to your love.
Set boundaries.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Give gratuitously.
Say it again.
Give gratuitously.
There you go.
I don't know. Your love, insofar as it is from God, is permanent. You can, I don't like that one. Understand the limitations of others.
Okay. Enter
the new country. I mean, it's just,
Enter the new country? Do you want to go to India?
Find the source of your loneliness.
Yeah. It's inner. It's Buddha. Inner.
This is a book by
Jesus.
Henri Nouwen, who was a
Krishna.
I don't know if he's still alive. He's a Catholic priest. Some books I read.
Oh.
Back to the show.
So the former Buddhist monk, Jewish, is reading the Catholic thing. That is a true yogi. I just thought I'd tell you that. They taught me that when I was in India. If you can go to any place of worship and feel comfortable, you are a true yogi.
Well, the thing about, I'm a reluctant participant in Christianity, but living in Dallas, it's been shoved down my throat. But there are some great theologians.
Yes, absolutely.
Christian,
Jesus,
Merton. Well, I wasn't thinking of Jesus.
I was thinking of Jesus.
He was a Jew.
Okay, Jews. Okay.
Okay.
And you're favoring Judaism because you were, but you never really were. You weren't bat mitzvah or anything.
Yeah, I was.
Oh, you were bat mitzvah?
Yes, of course.
I don't remember that.
Yes.
Can you read Hebrew?
Not anymore.
Oh, okay.
I could back in the day.
Okay.
Hey, Malcolm, Betty, Aaron, Dale, Malcolm twice. Merton, Richard Rohr, Till.
How can you remember authors' names? I can't. I read a book, love
Some-
it, and I don't remember the author's name.
I have a bookshelf full of books, theology, philosophy.
But how do you remember the authors' names? I can't remember. The only one I can remember is Norman Vincent Peale because I read Power of Positive Thinking every single day. So I remember that author.
And it's not working.
The big book of Alcoholics Anonymous.
Okay.
Bob and Bill. There you go. I know
Yeah.
those authors.
Okay.
Okay, we doing good?
Bob what?
I don't know.
Bill Wilson.
Bill Wilson and Bob. Oh, I don't know Bob's last name. Poor Bob. He's doctor.
So let me explain the show now.
His first name's Doctor. His last name's Bob.
So what we do every week is I do some research. I have some skills in research, and I look at articles of legal substance, and we use those as like the diving board into social commentary, because the law is a major part of our social commentary. And if you were watching today, for instance, the impeachment hearings, the
I won't watch
impeachment hearings, the underpinning of the impeachment hearings is the law. And so constitutionally, there are these three forms, there's these three houses of government. There's the executive branch, that's the president. You've got the congressional branch, that's the legislative branch. And then you've got the judicial branch, in this case, Supreme Court. So what's going on in our country right now is it's kind of monumental. We rarely see impeachment proceedings, and we rarely
Well,
see
in our
them.
lifetime, we've seen a couple. Try.
You've seen two.
Yeah, I said a
at
couple.
best. Yeah, yeah. Well, in your life, and you're how old?
39.
It's okay. So, and I'm twice as old as she is, and
Yes.
I've only seen two proceedings. And frankly, the Nixon proceedings, I don't remember even being broadcast. I was kind of
But
young.
weren't
so-
they doing something with Clinton too? Or is that just
well,
talk?
I'm starting with
Oh.
the era of TV and communication was much narrower when Nixon was impeached.
Mhm. People
then-
didn't get to watch.
Then Clinton was this drag out thing that started with the Watergate investigation under Ken Starr.
Right, right.
And he made such a production that nobody was interested by the time they got to Monica Lewinsky.
Right.
Now we have this series of events. Now, my legal opinion is, based upon the evidence I've seen so far, is that there's an impeachable offense. Now, impeachable doesn't mean convicted. Impeachable means it's like an indictment. An indictment means that a grand jury has established that there's enough evidence to send it to a court, which will then try the case.
Gotcha.
That's what's going on in Congress right now. Is the House Congress is the impeachment hearings. Should they find that they believe that they should impeach him, it will then go to the Senate, and the Senate will actually hold the trial. The odds of being convicted under the circumstances, because we have this bipartisan
Mhm.
atmosphere that's actually bipartisan, may be wrong. We have this polarized partisan atmosphere. He's not likely to be convicted, but that won't mean that the underlying offenses weren't committed. I was watching this guy testify. He's an ambassador, and he essentially said, he's not saying that he's not making a conclusion of law. He's just saying, from what I heard and what I saw, it was embarrassing
Mhm.
given the nature of foreign policy activities in the United States, how they're typically conducted, how other countries conducted, and his experience as an ambassador over the years. So the professionals that have appeared are all saying that they think that there was some substance to what the Democrats are now investigating. So there's substance there. The other side is saying, oh, you're not hearing from the source. So in a court of law, that wouldn't help me,
Right.
right? I would go
It's
in and
hearsay,
say,
isn't it?
well, they're saying
Well, that's
it's
his opinion.
hearsay, but of course, hearsay is not a real objection in an impeachment hearing.
Right, right,
It's-
right.
it
I
would
get
be-
that. But in
it
a
would
real
be
court
if
of
they were
law,
in a real court of law.
yes.
So what we have going on right now is that there's this substance of the people that were present who did the conversating will not appear. They refuse to appear. So, it's
So what happens? They get arrested since they refuse to appear?
no.
Why?
No, they won't. Because
I'd get arrested if I refused to appear.
yes, you would,
So why don't they?
because the president's protecting them.
Well, that's bullshit.
Okay. I don't disagree with you. I just thought I'd better explain that, what we do is a microcosm of the social world that goes on out there. There's constantly, for instance, the legalization of marijuana is a whole thing that's been undertaken over how many years,
Yeah.
since 1937.
Mhm.
And you and I are seeing a transformation in the culture based upon the legal system. The legal system, in order to transform what happened during the 60s,
Mhm.
somebody had to legalize marijuana for this transformation to take place. So slowly but surely, first states legalized medical marijuana, and that became
Right.
kind of a shift.
Absolutely.
Recreational marijuana became the seismic shift and is altering
And then
the
the states
culture.
following in suit.
Yes, and other
Mhm.
states following suit. The feds are holding out. They continue to argue despite the evidence. It's a gateway drug, it's hard drug, it's the same classification federally, pretty much as heroin.
Well, that's
Right.
ridiculous.
Of course, it's ridiculous. So
But it was my gate right here.
when
That was the first thing I ever
it's the
tried.
first thing I ever tried,
See,
but
so
I would have. It didn't matter. Whatever I was going to try,
it was going to be my first thing.
It was going to be the first thing. I just got
Technically,
lucky.
I think alcohol was my first thing. So maybe alcohol was my gateway drug.
Yeah, I didn't like alcohol and didn't drink it until I was
Alcohol
my
led me
late
to
teens.
cocaine.
So the gateway premise, there's no substance to the gateway theory except what you just said. You and I just said it's
Right.
anecdotal.
Right.
It's just, well, what was the first thing I tried? Like you said, there's a lot of young people that tried alcohol first, and then they found pot. Most of my friends drank before they ever used pot. I got
Right.
lucky.
I drank first.
When I was 14, my brother turned me on to pot before I'd ever tried alcohol.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
You were 14?
Yeah.
You were a late bloomer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you got to remember, I'm older than you. So the culture at the time was not to be smoking weed when you were 14. I was considered degenerate when I started.
Well,
smoking weed.
yes.
Okay.
Well, you quickly became a degenerate. Let's put it that way.
Well, I did my best.
But at 17, didn't you run away by that point?
I did my best.
So did I.
So
Hence rehab at 24.
So
But I
here's-
did my best.
here, uh-oh.
Here we go.
Here's the thing. Oh, we're back.
Hmm.
So what I was talking about is transformation based on law. So law changes, society will change. So in Colorado, Denver is transforming based upon a culture of recreational marijuana tourism.
Right.
Now that's going to change and shift now that California has legalized it, as neighboring states legalize it.
And people aren't going to travel.
They're
to go
not
get
going to
it.
travel. But they were smart. They got in on the ground floor.
Well, I don't know. They've had all kinds of problems.
What kind of problems have they had?
Well, my brother lives out there, and we were talking about it, and the growers in Colorado that were way far out and things like that, they're getting murdered, and their crops are all being taken, and the cartels are pissed, and it's not what people think.
Well, those are all easily solved. You just need more
People.
Yeah, you just need to put in more security, and those are solvable.
I think the cartel is going to stop. Security is going to stop cartel.
The cartel will stop when they run out of money. They will run out of money when we stop having to fuel them in Mexico. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Look what happened to Colombia as cocaine use was reduced.
Mm-hmm.
The Colombian cartels began to run out of money. They're no longer a player. The Mexicans are the player. Why are Mexico a player? Their border's closer. They have less cross sending because meth has overtaken cocaine.
Absolutely.
And meth can be manufactured in Mexico. You couldn't manufacture cocaine in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
You needed Colombia. As you no longer need Colombia, the cartel had no money. They lose their power. In the legalization of drugs, you'll find, in my opinion, that the cartels will be emasculated. They'll have their peepees cut off by virtue of the fact that they'll run out of money. Doesn't mean they'll go easily, but they were never going anywhere as long as we were providing them with funds to wage war. Right. So I, for one, am very pleased that we are legalizing, because while we're legalizing marijuana and we're putting a dent in the economy of the Mexican cartel, until we also do something about meth, we're not going to be effective. Speaking of meth, let's talk
Woo! That was a good segue. It's a shame we didn't have it right up on top. I mean, that would have been better preparation on our part.
I wasn't thinking.
That's not it.
Here it is. Here it is.
Yay! Here it is.
So in the news today,
I love this though. I've checked this out online. It was really cool.
Idaho, South Dakota
Uh-huh.
came out with a
I
campaign,
thought it was genius.
an anti-meth campaign.
Yeah.
I liked it too.
I know.
The campaign is meth. We're on it.
Isn't that awesome? Okay, so it
It's
has
a play on words.
yeah, it's a play on words, and it has all these people, average people on the commercials, little kids all the way up to older people saying meth. I'm on it. I love it.
Yeah. So they're
Yeah.
catching a lot of flack because it looks like they're advocating it or something. It
I
was silly,
know.
silly pushback.
No,
I thought it was a smart campaign.
it was cute.
It's been in the news today. South Dakota anti-methamphetamine campaign. Meth, we're on it.
Uh-huh.
Malcolm says we need to follow Portugal's lead. I believe Portugal is the only European nation that legalized something. I don't know, Malcolm, if you could type me what they did. Betty, they say the cartel is so powerful. Wonder how they can be stopped. Well, that's what I'm saying.
I agree. It's
The
difficult.
cartels grew in power with American dollars.
Right. I know. I get that 100%.
So if you stop the flow of American dollars by legalizing drugs, you eliminate the murderous cartel.
Right.
Now you still have a drug problem. You still have an addiction problem. But what you don't have is you don't have a murder problem.
Right.
Okay. So they're talking about some shootings that took around the country recently. And they're saying they everything. Okay. Malcolm says
They just legalize everything. Mhm.
So what happens?
Which is what you've been a proponent for
Right.
a long time.
Right. So they still have the addiction problem, which is your concern. If you make it easier to access, will you have greater addiction? The thing is, we can fix addiction better than we can fix death.
Yeah. Right.
So these kids that are getting shot in drug deals because they're still operating in this underworld.
Right.
The less they have to operate in the underworld, the less risk
Man,
they will come of violent death.
I didn't even know. Do you know that they have like an underworld for vapes? Like the vape oil. I mean, oh my God. Anything out there has
Well,
an underworld where they're selling it on the black market. I'm like, vapes? Really?
So vapes came to prominence, for instance, let's use Texas. Okay. So you noticed in the last 5 years, vapes became prominent,
Yes.
but they're smoking some sort of concoction
Yes.
that's missing the cigarette thing, but has the other stuff.
Right.
It has nicotine, but it doesn't have.
It has other chemicals.
Okay. So here's the problem again, the legalization or illegalization. So people wanted to put pot in their vape,
Okay.
right? So people are buying black market vaping, which apparently was infused with some other stuff
Hmm.
other than THC. If you go to California, you go to Colorado, you go to other states where vaping marijuana is legal, you buy the cartridge
Right.
already manufactured under government guidelines.
There you go.
Government guidelines are extremely important. I
Very
know
much so.
David Brown's joining David to liberty. He hates regulations, but it's critical that the drug trade come under government regulation, not prohibition, regulation. So that if somebody wants to go out and get a drug, whatever it is, at least they will get the drug.
Right.
So that when they're shooting, smoking, or dropping a drug, at least they know what it is. How many times do we know that young people went to a rave,
Right.
did drugs beforehand from somebody that bought on the street or got some at the rave, and then land up in the emergency room and the emergency room says, what's wrong? And they say, I took ecstasy. That kid doesn't know what they
Right.
took.
Exactly. Well, we didn't know what we were taking back in the day.
They might have
I
took
had no
meth.
idea what I was taking.
They might have took meth. They might have taken LSD. They don't know.
Right.
And they don't blood test them. They treat them for the, whatever.
Right.
Well, you infuse them with saline because
Yeah.
you want to rehydrate them.
The thing that bothers me about the vapes is I watched this documentary on it, and they are not regulated by the FDA. They're importing them from China, and there is a chemical in the ones imported from China that is not allowed to be distributed in China, but it's in our vaping things from China, and they're not under FDA.
Well,
we
have
do
a
not
lot-
know.
People are manufacturing vape here too.
I'm just telling you, a bunch of it's coming in from China. This documentary was appalling because it was like, I couldn't friggin' believe it. It's just not regulated. God only knows what's in these things. And who knows? People could be taking them from China and putting made in the USA on them, or hey, we made these. I don't know. All that I know is that there's a chemical in there that the documentary was saying that is not allowed to be distributed in China, but they are exporting it into the United States in these vapes.
So there you go. Government regulation. Things that cross borders need to be examined
Yes.
for regulations. Things that stay within the state, let the state work it out. Now, people are like, well, we got too many regulations. The EPA is out of control. The EPA is essentially controlling things that affect environment, and environment affects everybody. It's hard to say that the coal plant, which is spewing out coal, shouldn't be regulated strictly, because that air is my air, no matter where it is,
Well,
right?
my thyroid doesn't work. I grew up by Bethlehem Steel.
Okay.
No thyroid.
And so water goes everywhere. So you got to regulate water.
Yep.
I mean, there's a dire need for government regulation of things that cannot be managed beyond state lines. You know, that's why a truck that crosses state lines falls under the Interstate Commerce Commission. If that truck's never leaving the state, it will fall under that state's regulation.
Gotcha.
Well, what's the difference? Well, that truck's going to go out there if it's not safe. The feds want to know.
Right.
Yeah.
So I went to the website, the South Dakota's website for their ad. It was really good. It had sources on for help, and then it had meth addiction is everyone's problems. Here's how to fight it. And then it gave, I liked it. I thought it was cool. So meth, I'm on it.
I was on it.
And I was not
years.
an meth person.
4 years. Meth
Never
brought me
did
to
that.
my knees. I wasn't on it the first time, and I got clean and sober and
And then when
stayed
you
out
went
of
back
trouble.
out,
But when I went back
it was
out,
popular then.
it was very popular.
Yeah, it wasn't popular in my day.
Okay.
Mhm.
So
Okay,
meth story.
there we
done.
go.
So I hope you all are understanding what I'm saying,
Hmm.
why this show, Law and Disorder, uses the legal arena
Mhm.
as the platform for the discussions about social ambiance.
Yes.
It-
And we don't agree all the time. Trust me. Ken gets very worked up when we don't agree.
and then I want to say, out of deference to the libertarians and stuff in the crowd, you can't legislate morality. You can't. Prostitution is in part a legislation of morality.
What's a victimless crime?
Well, it's not always victimless. In
No.
Las Vegas, it's less victimless because they're protected by the government.
Oh, Dennis Hoff died. He was a friend of mine. Did you know that?
Yeah.
I liked him a
Yeah.
lot.
Dennis
passed.
Hoff was a big pimp. So
He owned the Bunny Ranch and a couple of the brothels out there.
so
Wonderful man.
where it's illegal, the government, at least ostensibly in Nevada, Las Vegas, not. There are protections for everybody. The rest of the other 49 states, there's no protection. So at this point, on the one hand, somebody engages in, well, here's an interesting thing.
Okay.
Okay. Prostitution, a crime that's it's only a crime because money exchanged hands.
Yes.
Yeah. Sex between two consenting adults.
So I can get a diamond ring and that would be
Is not-
okay.
No, that's a payment.
Oh, what about dinner? All those times I went to dinner, had sex, does that make me a prostitute? Just saying.
She's begging me to go there.
Just saying.
I got
So
things.
all you ladies out there, like Sex in the City, my God, they committed so many crimes, so many times.
Well,
They went to dinner and had sex. It's exchange.
And sex workers often will say, what is the difference between me and somebody who's a kept woman, for instance?
Yes. That's a good question.
I don't know if Leah's still with us. She sometimes talks in, she worked against sex trafficking, and a lot of sex trafficking
Mhm.
involves women being forced into
I'm taking my boots
prostitution.
off.
It's okay.
Thank you.
Women being forced into prostitution, but let's take a sex worker who, for whatever reason, let's say they're of sound mind and body, they're not being forced. They're participating in the sex trade. they're saying I have a right to do what I want.
Exactly.
You know,
I understand.
you're selling your skills on a computer. You're selling your skills within PR and yoga and stuff. I sell my skills as a lawyer. Why should anybody have whatever skill it is restricted from engaging in free trade? That's a question that will.
It's a good question.
It's gonna stymie.
Well,
people.
it's morality. People are judging morality based on it.
Well, you know, when I talked about the case where my client,
I think my phone's beeping.
she stole pseudoephedrine to trade for meth from a cook. A cook is somebody who manufactures meth
Right.
in the backyard or whatever. I said she was stealing pseudoephedrine because that was in trade. That was
Sure.
what he would accept.
That was money.
She would have stole tampons, was my thing. I said to the jury, if
Did
the
that
cook,
work?
they came to me and said, absolutely, it had not been pseudoephedrine, they would have let her off.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Oh, no, I agree with that. I didn't
Well,
know if
they
they still let her
understood that.
off.
But they let her off on 5 charges.
Mhm.
The only one they found her guilty of was the mere possession of pseudoephedrine with intent to manufacture
Gotcha.
meth.
Mhm.
Okay. They threw out all the conspiracy charges that were involved. So she would have been, all she would have had was a shoplifting charge
Yeah.
if
If it would have been
if she
something
could have traded in something besides pseudoephedrine.
I'm following what you're saying.
Well, so she shouldn't have been convicted. All right. Now I want to talk about something that's kind of quasi-political. Most of you don't know this is what's going on. Do you think they can hear us on the phone camera?
Yes, they can hear
They're
us.
close enough.
Yes. We'll
All right.
speak loudly.
Betty says she's got it as long as it's not cash. All right. So we have something called asylum in the
Betty's
United
going out tonight now. She knows this.
So you threw that.
Sorry. There we go. Okay.
We have something called asylum, and then you've all heard of it by now. It's been very prominent as people arrive at the southern border primarily, and they ask for asylum. And usually about 80% of those requests are initially approved for further investigation.
On the first initial interview,
for further
80%
Yeah.
are usually approved, and then the court case happens. And from that court case, only 15% down the line are approved.
Right.
Correct.
Okay. But here's the thing. So the Trump administration imposed a new kind of deal. They're saying, we're not going to let you in while we think about this. Someplace else, Mexico, Central America. So what happened is there's a lawyer by the name of Doug Stevens, and he's a federal employee. His job is to interview these people and ascertain whether they may have a good claim under the law.
It's the very first initial procedure.
And he was ultimately told to conduct 5 different interviews of these people. In other words, really just make it hard for people to get an asylum claim. And he finally said, enough. That's 5 interviews too many. I've been doing my job. I know how to do my job. He said, what I'm being asked to do is, number 1, immoral, and number 2, illegal. It violates the congressional act that allows for asylum. So he started refusing to conduct the interviews. Of course, they went after him, and he quit so that he could become more of an activist, right?
Right.
So the Immigration Services Employee Union, that would be guys like him, citizenship,
13,000 of them.
13,000. They released a statement and said, this is the first guy who's refusing to conduct the interviews under the program, which is known as the Migrant Protection Protocols.
Yeah.
What
Protection.
Okay.
Yeah.
But according to these, to the union, asylum officers are calling in sick, requesting transfers, retiring earlier than planned, and quitting, all to resist the present administration's immigration policies. So they're all saying, listen, these people are coming from dangerous. It's clear to the interviewers, to these lawyers and these officers, these people are coming from dangerous environments. and to delay their admission into the United States is to risk putting them at peril, because whether they're sent to Mexico, wherever they're sending them,
I
because
could never
other
sit there
Central
and do
American
that.
countries are signing up, hey, we'll take some,
Right. I
these
could
people are
never
being
do that.
robbed, they're being raped.
Well, it says it's some of the most, where they're putting them is some of the most dangerous places
Well,
in
of
the
course, they're
world.
putting them in bad areas.
Mhm.
You're not putting them up at the Hilton, right?
No, it's
Yeah.
just awful. They're being
So,
raped and murdered. And, oh my God.
So
So can you
Doug,
imagine having to interview a person saying, and knowing that no matter what they tell you, you're not accepting them, you got to send them back? That's why these people can't do it. Thank God we have people with hearts and moral standards that can't do that.
yeah, and this policy is being challenged in court as being illegal. And this the union has filed in as a friend of the court. That's what they call amicus brief, and they're saying, yeah, man, this is just these immigration policies, not laws, policies are illegal. They violate the law that we have set. And a couple of courts have already slapped the Trump administration, said you can't just keep doing this stuff. You can't just keep making up
They
your
are.
own rules. Okay.
They're making up their own rules as they go along.
Yeah. So it says in the article, one of the asylum officers' primary mission is to make sure that the government is not returning people to harm in their home countries, a foundational principle in U.S. and international law. And so U.S. officials in the administration are downplaying the threat of danger in Mexico, which is where
Oh, in those small towns.
and they're saying we have documentation. This is what the officers are saying. This is our own people are saying it's well documented. Kidnapping, rape, and other violence against asylum seekers are widespread and well documented. The Homeland Security people, the mouthpiece for the administration, they're saying, we're just trying to discourage asylum claims.
I had students at high school whose entire village were, destroyed. When they come home, they're just gone. And they're the only one alive, and their entire families and everybody's dead. And I mean, it's horrific, the stories these children tell me. And to think they're just automatically sending these kids back and sending these, I just, it baffles me. Thank God we have good people who are saying, no, I'm not doing this.
So another social issue, the death penalty. And so this has been quasi-resolved since last week when I downloaded this.
Mhm.
We were getting ready to execute a guy by the name of Rodney Reed, who was convicted, 13 years ago or something, long time ago, of a murder. And I may have brought this up at the end of the show last week. I don't remember. But this was up in the air. They've been asking the governor to
Overturn it,
charge, at least delay it. They've asked for weeks because 13 law enforcement officers were involved that we don't think he's guilty.
13 law enforcement
we
officers
think
came
it was
forward.
a cop that did the crime. We have reason to believe a cop who was the boyfriend of the deceased committed the crime. But in any case, we don't think this guy did the crime,
I
right?
mean, 13 police officers have come forward saying this guy didn't do it.
And Governor Abbott refused.
Wow.
He just was going to wait, I guess, to see where political fortunes fell. Luckily, an appellate court finally stepped in, which they shouldn't have had to do. And they said, we're going to delay the execution while there's further examination of this. For a court to have to intervene where the governor had all the information.
Well, the governor should have intervened.
But Texas likes thinking it's a badass because it executes more inmates per year than all other states combined.
But in this situation, this guy may be innocent, and it looks like he really is. 13 police officers came forward and said, this guy's innocent. I mean, as a governor of the state, I would think he'd take that heed. I mean,
yeah, no, it's Texas.
That's what I'm saying. I just can't believe that. I don't care who he is. I just cannot believe he would not. 13 police officers.
So,
for the people, by the people.
I don't know what to say to you. So,
baffling.
So several years ago, the Supreme Court really said, you can't execute somebody who doesn't understand the nature of their punishment. they're crazy or too stupid to understand what's happening, you can't execute them. So there was this really crazy case in Louisiana where the guy was caught on the Louisiana State Prison, treated him for a psychosis so they could get him ready to execute him.
Yeah, I remember all this. Yeah.
Eventually, the court said, yeah, you can do that. Okay. Oh, is everyone seeing a very pixelated video?
Oh, I don't know.
You're the first one to ask, Ginny. Maybe that's
Anybody
why
else?
nobody's watching. It's a big pixelated video. So if
People
you're
are watching. What are you talking about?
well, nobody's joined in like they usually do.
Yes, they are.
Could
Look at
be
all
that
these
the
things
pixel-
going on.
Yes, I'm saying, but the population.
Oh my God.
So is it still
Yes, sir.
pixelated? Is it temporary? How do we make
It's
that
fine. We're not
determination?
doing anything. We are continuing. It could be her side.
Okay. So years ago, the Texas legislature actually did something that was progressive. They said,
Texas was progressive?
Yeah.
Wow.
well, I'm not that aggressive.
Oh,
Don't
okay.
get excited.
Well, I got excited.
They said that you cannot execute a person who's retarded.
Okay.
So if your IQ is so
Is
low,
below what level though?
not to
What's
understand.
what is it? Do we know? Like, is it below 70? Is it below 60? I mean, what is the drawing line there?
So Ray Dean says that the picture is fine on our YouTube station, which is
There you go. Go to YouTube.
Ken Goldberg's Law and Disorder is broadcasting live right now on YouTube.
It's live on my Facebook page.
We have a
too.
YouTube channel. So Ray Dean says the picture there is fine.
Okay. So,
So let me finish the story.
okay, I'm ready.
So they passed legislation.
Yes.
And then you wanted me to start getting into what is retardation. I'm not going there. Thank you very much for bringing it up.
That's important.
No, it's not important for what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. I thought it was.
Okay, no. Rick Perry vetoed the legislation, not because it didn't have a determination of what is retardation. He vetoed it because he thought he could just do that. Here's the thing. It had to go up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court had to slap Texas' hand and go, you cannot execute a retarded person.
Right.
That means a retardation is such that they understand why they're being executed. That's my point. Okay? So it didn't matter.
I'm going to look up the
It doesn't
idea.
matter what. Well, some states say some
70 or 60? Or?
60, somewhere between 60 and 70.
Yeah, that's what I thought
usually,
too.
retardation. So, speaking of prisons and execution, there is a
This was interesting.
yeah.
I don't know if they necessarily, you're going to have to explain this to me.
Well, the federal government, 35 states and 150 cities, including DC, have created ban-the-box policies which restrict when an employer can ask a job applicant about his criminal history. So the problem is, what do you do if somebody leaves from prison and you've shunned them from the workplace? Okay. Is it a legitimate to pursue their criminal history as a reason to exclude them from the workplace? And so apparently a lot of states got a lot of unemployed prisoners, and because that's the only reason anybody sticks up prisoners, economics, and said, you got to start hiring these people. Yeah. And so you got to not.
At it 100%. But you know what? I don't want somebody who killed 2 people and shot them in the head and is out on a technicality. I don't want to hire that person.
You create your own little scenarios when we do that.
I know, I do it on purpose.
Yeah. I don't know what to tell you.
But
Yeah.
with this, would that fall under there? The ban the box? I'm like, what's the crimes? Is it a certain level of ban the box, or is it all crimes? That's my question.
Well, it talks about all that in the article.
Okay, well, what was the answer to my question? Because the people out there didn't read the article.
I'll sit here and read it again. Well, you just go ahead. No, I'm going to read it all over again.
I thought these were really good questions. That's my job, is to ask questions. Why do you have a frown? Turn that frown upside.
Well,
Can't.
first off, there's one of the threshold issues is how long ago was the criminal act?
Okay. Hmm.
So,
That's fair.
you drew a scenario. A guy was guilty and da 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 da. Da. So, and you picked the most heinous crime you could
Of
think
course, I
of.
do. I go to the extreme on purpose.
Well, that's good of you.
Well, honey, I'm serious because that would that fall under there. Okay, so I got in trouble. When was it? 1987, before I got sober. We're right at that point in time, and so that was so long ago. That would probably be. It was deferred adjudication,
Well,
but I probably wouldn't even put that on there at that point, right?
Let's say that the point of the article is that it's rarely being implemented. Employers are asking questions, not supposed to ask. Even government agencies in states where it's regulated asking questions because nobody's gone in and purged the system. So you got a failing at a base level of even trying to
help
help.
the situation.
So the next thing is, and for next week, maybe we can look up ban the box legislation, see which ones are affected. This article says that it's rarely being used. So even in your scenario,
I had never heard of this before.
In your scenario, you said, well, someone who committed murder but got off on a technicality. If somebody gets off, they get off.
Okay, well, no,
But this was
I
anyway.
rephrase that. It was many years ago. They were in prison for 20 years.
Oh, that historically most people murdered 20 years ago aren't going to murder again.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they got old. Most murders are committed
40
by
years
younger
old, I
people.
don't think is old.
Most compared to a 20-year-old. You just
Well,
said 20 years.
I know.
What do we know about the cerebellum?
And then they're living in a violent environment.
we know
They're going
about
to get
the
out and be
cerebral-
okay.
What do we know about the cerebral cortex?
It gets thicker.
And when does it reach maturation? When you're how old? 24. Okay, thank you for that information. Oh, people that are convicted up until age 24 haven't even reached maturation. But historically, what we know is that as people get old, their propensity for crime goes down.
Okay, I'm going to look this up.
Go ahead.
I will.
All right.
Mr. Attorney in 3 states.
I applied for a job helping ex-cons transition back into
I
society.
like that.
Don't you think I would have been good?
Yeah.
I didn't get the job. I didn't even get the interview.
How come?
Well, I don't know.
Why didn't you call and ask? There's nothing wrong with calling an employer and asking why you weren't, maybe the resume wasn't done properly or something. And for the next job, you can call and ask, could you give me some feedback? There's nothing wrong with that.
How many of you think you can call somebody that didn't even interview you and ask them why you didn't get the job?
No, not why you didn't get the job. Could you please give me feedback on why I didn't get an interview? Was it something in my resume? There's nothing wrong with that.
I open you up to feedback.
I used to teach that at ITT. People would call all the time and ask for feedback, and the people were very pleasant and would always help them. Maybe because they were students.
Who was students?
My ITT students would do that when I taught that class, getting jobs. Call and get feedback. Maybe they didn't like their resume, something in their cover letter or something.
Ginny wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. But she and I both work for ourselves historically, so maybe that's why. While you're deciding restorative justice, access to Pell Grants, rehabilitation, post-release vocational training programs. So what Malcolm was bringing up is this whole issue of how many obstacles do you create for prisoners? They're prohibited in many states from and federally from accessing Pell Grants and training programs. They're denied access to public housing. Where else are you going to live, So we need to take a real serious look. AJ is right. It might be embarrassing to ask, but you can.
Thank you.
Well, I'm not into being embarrassed. Thank you.
How do you improve unless you ask for feedback? Constructive criticism.
Thank you, Malcolm, for understanding my side. Okay.
It wasn't Malcolm. It was Ginny.
No, Malcolm's the one that put this all about
the about the
Pell
things.
Grants.
Gotcha.
So now I'm going to segue to Japan so you can keep the comments coming. I got 2 articles about Japan, and then I'm going to talk about love some more.
Thanks.
So Japanese.
I think I might switch. I might switch sides. I thought I'd give it a whirl.
I got some ladies I can introduce you to.
Okay.
All right. So there's a article. I mean, there's a news story going on in Japan because Japanese companies are barring women from wearing eyeglasses
This is unbelievable.
while working.
I feel like this is like back in the 50s in the United
Well, it
States.
is like that. It is like
Because
that.
they have to wear high heels to work also.
Oh, yes, yes.
It's required.
So several Japanese stations
women.
are reporting that companies have banned women from wearing eyeglasses because they give a cold impression. They also say that they're banning them, and I don't get this one. Other reasons for the ban include safety for airline workers
Yeah.
and being able to
So contacts are better.
and being able to clearly see makeup for beauty industry workers.
Well, they're saying if you're putting makeup on people and everything, then you have to look the part. And for people to see your eye makeup, you can't have glasses on. That's what they're saying there.
So Japan is a common requirement for women to wear makeup and high heels. It's mandatory.
Dresses too. They don't have it in there, but that's true.
Oh.
Mhm.
So they tried to start a Kutu movement, which would have been
Kutu.
to stop high heels.
Kutu.
And they kind of stole that from the Me Too movement.
Mhm.
But Minister of Health, Labor, and Welfare, it's a he, said
Of course it is.
he's fine with leaving the high heel
I think we
policy.
need to let him wear high heels just for one day. Let's see how far he makes it.
Well, I have an objection, and I've raised it here, and anybody that'll listen to me. I watch So You Think You Can Dance. I watch
Mhm.
every season, and I don't understand why women
Have to wear
have
the
to
high
be
heels.
with a man who's wearing regular shoes while she's wearing high heels. Why is she judged? I mean, if you want to put women in high heels, then have them compete against women in high heels or something. To have to compete against somebody who's wearing something that's much easier to bounce around in.
But each set has one in high heels and one in not high heels. I couldn't
they
wear.
do?
I mean, I was a tap dancer for 14 years, and I never had high heels on my tap shoes. I always had them flat. So I couldn't wear those.
Well, I find it objectionable, and I don't think that a dancer should have to wear high heels.
I don't either.
Obviously, it's supposed to help make her look more attractive and stuff.
It makes your
It's
legs
a
look
dance.
longer.
But it's a dance.
It's very difficult.
If you're a good dancer, then let it
It's
dance.
difficult. Like I said, 14. I
Right,
can
'cause
tap dance like a
Ginger
mofo.
Rogers,
Did
Fred
you know that?
Astaire. No, I didn't.
I did. I can tap dance like a mofo. Mhm.
Hmm.
Mhm.
But one of the things that's been said about Ginger Rogers is compare her to Fred Astaire. That was her dance partner all those years. She did everything Fred did, but backwards and in high heels.
Right. I like that.
Okay.
Of course I would.
So another thing in Japan. So
Oh, I like this next one.
in one moment, Japan is regressive,
Mhm.
and another is progressive.
It is.
They're
In this situation.
experimenting at Microsoft Japan with a 4-day work week,
Love it.
and they're finding that a boost of productivity by 40%.
Yep. I believe that completely.
And I have
They got to get their work done. They're going to do it in 4 days.
Yeah, so I have a long article about it, but I think it speaks for itself. I think
Well, the quality
Well,
circles. Remember the
there's-
quality circles? Was that from China or Japan back in the
I
day?
have no idea.
I can't remember.
Never heard of it.
Mhm.
But
That's because you weren't a business
they
major.
got
You
this-
were a lawyer major.
the company saved money not having to operate
I
on
love
the
that.
5th day.
Yep.
Where they heat the building, whatever.
I think schools should go to 4
And
days.
that the people
Yep.
are more engaged because they're
Yes.
looking forward to the weekend, so they're willing to put in the time and effort in the 4
Think about
days.
how much money the school district could save on air conditioning, electricity, all that kind of food, all that kind of stuff if they went to 4 days. It'd be fantastic. They'd save a lot of money,
Fabulous.
which could then go and pay the teachers.
Fabulous. But what about the little kids? Parents would have to stay at home to take care of them. So you'd
That's
have to
not
maybe
that's
have
not
an
the school
aide
district's
stay.
problem.
Sometimes you do. So back around to the beginning again. Back to the beginning is a South Carolina man went into a McDonald's and ordered sweet tea.
Oh, this is crazy.
Okay. And then he says he asked for extra
Hey,
lemon.
Joe, if you're listening, you'll like this one.
Extra lemon. And he says that when Japan developed the quality circle.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So he goes in, and now he says that extra lemon must have been wink, wink,
A code.
code for
Give me the
marijuana.
pot.
Give me, so
Give me the doobie.
he said that he found 3 bags of weed in his cup.
Okay, so now this is my question.
But they only charge the normal price for a cup of tea. So here I am. I'm going to call bull because ain't nobody selling weed, 3 bags of weed.
Something with that whole
for
thing was weird. I
$1.50.
wonder if somebody hit. I don't know. That whole thing was weird. That's weird.
And he says he knew it tasted a little different, but he had never been high before. I call bull.
He had never been high before. I called bull on that too.
So he didn't realize until.
But if there were bags in the tea,
until he was high.
this is what I got confused. So was the tea in the cup with the bags, and then the bags were open and got in the tea, so he got high? I mean, how does it work? I know.
My job is to go through the news and give you all the news that's worth.
Because if it was
reporting.
sealed in a Ziploc baggie, that should not have leaked into the tea, so he would not have gotten high. Just saying. I'm punching holes in the man's story.
3 snaps in a circle.
Punching holes in his story.
And then my last legal one is Arizona. Arizona sentenced a kid
Oh yeah.
they convicted of spending a 1-year period. Some committed while he was under the age of 18, thus a juvenile.
Some of it was a hate crime, I'm sure too, don't you think? I'm betting, but I
didn't
don't
see
know.
anything like that.
No, but if it was a
Why?
serious,
It's a firebug.
okay.
Compulsive
I just
firebug.
automatically thought of churches and temples.
Yeah, no, I didn't think so.
Okay.
They gave him 140 years.
You're serious.
So
Don't set anything on fire in Arizona.
So they appealed it, saying that the Supreme Court said you could not mandatorily sentence a minor to life in prison. Okay, you had to give them the opportunity. But the Arizona Supreme Court, and since some of it was juvenile, they're saying the sentence exceeded the constitutional limitation that would have been imposed for a juvenile, right?
Yes.
So the Arizona Court of Appeals, bunch of liberal guys, if ever there were one, I'm sure, said, yeah, no, we ain't buying it. He's going to prison the rest of his life.
How old was he when he was convicted?
He was 18.
Well, was he? How come he wasn't tried as an adult and not a juvenile?
Well, he was.
Oh, okay.
But some of the crimes took place as a juvenile. You can't try somebody
Gotcha.
you can, but you have certain limitations. For instance, I commit a crime as a juvenile.
Mhm.
You can't give me the death penalty.
Okay.
You can try me as an adult, but you can't give me the ultimate adult sentence, even if that sentence would have been available to an adult.
Gotcha. I watched Bull last night. It was really good. I love that show. Do you know watch that show?
No.
Oh my God, you like that show?
So we used to have something in society, well, we still have it, called status offenses. Now I'm going to explain status offenses in our remaining moments. Status offenses were crimes which only a juvenile could be convicted of. A minor in possession of alcohol, truancy, and runaway.
That's it?
Those are the 3 I can think of. There might be
Okay.
more. I mean, an adult can't run away.
Right.
An adult
we
can't be
can.
a minor in possession of alcohol.
Thinking about going to India.
And an adult cannot be truant.
Okay.
Think about what?
Thinking about leaving, going to India. Want to go to India? Live in India for a
No, I
while?
didn't say you couldn't run away.
Oh, okay.
I said you can't be, it's not against the law.
No,
If
not
I
against
said
the law.
something different, I apologize.
No, I'm just messing with you. Go ahead.
Okay, so status offenses. Cook County, Illinois, that's Chicago, was the first legal jurisdiction to begin to segregate status offenders, juvenile status offenders from juvenile criminal offenders. Because they used to throw these kids in a truancy, they'd throw them in with a kid
I
that
saw it all the time.
was supposedly guilty of murder.
Yeah,
or
I
was
saw it all the
was
time at
accused of
school.
murder.
They bring the paddy wagons up to school and they come in my classroom and they pull the kids out and they handcuff them. And then the kids walk down the hall in a line handcuffed. You have to get in the paddy wagon, which was several. I'm telling you, this happened all
For
the time
what?
in Dallas
What were they
ISD.
arresting them for?
Truancy.
But they were in class.
Yeah, but before they weren't. That's half the time they have to find them in school because they can't find them at home. So they wait till they're in the classroom and they come and go.
That seems counterproductive.
I can't help it. That's how they caught these truancy people. It's not like they just weren't not coming at all. They just were skipping days here and there or a week here and then showing up. At least that was my experience teaching at Dallas ISD.
Again, has nothing to do with the subject I was
It doesn't.
discussing.
You mentioned truancy.
Well, I did mention it.
See?
But I mentioned it in the context of what we call status offenses. That kids who are your kids that are being taken out of the class are not being thrown into the deep, dark jails with kids who are being accused of murder or violent offenses.
How do you know where they were putting them?
Because pretty much that's no longer allowed.
Oh, okay, good.
Because they found that these kids were prey.
Some of these were probably pretty bad kids too. Some of them weren't, but
But
just
that's
saying.
not why they're incarcerated. They were being locked up for truancy.
I know.
So Cook County, Illinois, was one of the first jurisdictions in the country. You're just a disruptor now. Sometimes,
Sorry, I'm thinking
sometimes-
about this one kid.
sometimes you have to go with the information.
I'm going with it. It came in my head, this one
Yeah.
kid. I'm so sorry. It came in my head, this one kid. I apologize.
Okay,
It
so
was funny.
Cook County segregated. You could not lock status offenders up with kids charged with other crimes. Again, let me repeat if you showed up late. The status offense is a crime that can only be committed by a juvenile. So adult possessing alcohol is not a crime. An adult can run away. It's not a crime. An adult can absent themselves from school and it's not a crime. Those were crimes and kids were arrested all the time. Curfew, that was another one. I'm sorry, I forgot that one.
Oh, yeah,
An
curfew.
adult cannot commit the offense of curfew, right? So kudos to the first jurisdiction in the country, my home, Chicago, for actually implementing the segregation of those. And
That is great. I agree.
psychologists, the sociologists have long said it's a bad policy to mix them. right?
Absolutely.
So, and kids, these kids.
Easier to
that
pull somebody down than pull them up.
You ever see Bad Boys with Sean Penn and S.A. Morales?
Long time ago. Oh my God. No.
Great movie. I loved S.I. Morales, quite frankly. I don't know why his career went south. I thought he was great. I thought he was great in La Bamba. I thought he was
La Bamba.
great in Bad Boys. I thought
Who are you talking about?
S.I. Morales,
Oh, okay.
the actor. Very handsome Latino
I thought you were talking
actor.
about Lou Diamond Phillips. I didn't know.
No, I said S.I. Morales.
I know, but I went over my head.
Okay. So let me
Lou
wrap.
Diamond Phillips is a Richardson boy. Just saying.
For the dozens
At
of
least
you,
that's what I
for
was
the
told.
dozens of you that don't live in Dallas, Richardson is this neighborhood
That I grew up in.
The
It's
city,
right here. It's a
right?
big, beautiful city.
nearby.
Great school district.
You wouldn't know
Beautiful
that.
homes.
Those of you that are listening in Chicago, Denver,
You keep
San
talking about
Francisco.
Chicago to all these Dallas people all the friggin' time. This side of Chicago, this side. I make one comment about Richardson, and now you're like, well, people don't know what it is.
well, actually, it was a comment about Lou Diamond Phillips, which was pretty off the wall. We weren't talking about him. We were talking about
Was he in La Bamba?
S.I. Morales. No.
Oh, thought he was.
What part did you think he played?
I don't remember. I just thought he was. It's Hispanic, good looking. I figured he was in La Bamba somewhere. Seriously, I did.
He didn't play.
I don't know.
Ricky Valens, did he?
I don't remember.
Wasn't a young Lou Diamond Phillips that played?
I don't know.
Yes, keep talking about it. Right on, brother. Right on. Talk about
I
Chicago.
see Chicago. I say one thing about Richardson, Texas, and I get attacked. Did you see that, people?
So
Go Texas, go Texas.
S.I. Morales plays the older brother of Ricky Valens. Was it Ricky Valens?
I
That was
don't
La Bamba?
know. Can we get off La
Anyways.
Bamba now?
He played the older
Oh,
brother.
my
We're
God.
talking about so listen, before we go, I want to put in a plug for Jojo Rabbit. I want to see that movie.
You said that
What
last week.
what a great talked about.
Yeah. That's okay. You can pitch it again.
Did I talk about Motherless Brooklyn?
No,
Why not? I saw that before I saw Jojo Rabbit.
I just remember Joe Rabbit. You
So,
might have said something.
Some
but I don't
of
remember
you
Motherless.
reluctant to see Jojo Rabbit because you saw the trailer, or
It's
worse,
violent. I
or
want to see
worse
it.
yet, you didn't hear about it. It's not that violent. I've seen much more violent.
I know, but I'm a
Jojo
wuss.
Rabbit's about a young Hitler youth who discovers there's a Jewish girl being hidden in his attic with his mother. And while he hates Jews and would like to turn the Jew in, he finds out that if he does that,
His mother will be.
his mother will be executed as well as the young girl. So this is about how he navigates that dilemma. And it's extraordinary. It's comedic. It's poignant. And it was different. It was quirky. And I liked
bloody
it
is
a
it?
lot.
Does it show?
There's a bloody scene at the end with the war, but I mean, it's just
I can
this-
close my eyes.
well, it's the very end. There's just people, like it's when the Allies freed the city he's in. So the Allies are coming in and shooting.
My
up,
dad was in World War II in
shooting the
Germany.
Nazis.
Did
Okay,
you know that?
what?
My dad was in World War II in Germany.
He was a Nazi.
No, he was an American soldier. Oh my God.
So-
Liberating Germany.
And then I saw Motherless Brooklyn with Edward Norton, and I really liked that. Oh, we've run out of time. I'm not going to tell you about it, but
Was that violent?
Edward Norton,
No. Okay, that looked pretty good. I thought that
Yeah.
was quite good.
he plays a guy with Tourette's
Oh,
who becomes a private investigator,
I didn't know
and
that.
his boss, Bruce Willis, is killed. You can see that in the trailer, where he's shot on his young protege, Edward Norton,
Mm,
sets out to find out who
Gotcha.
did the dastardly deed. And he really plays this quirky, charismatic kind of character. It's fun. And then I saw Ford versus Ferrari.
Oh,
last
I can't
night.
wait to see that.
I didn't care much. For
Okay, I'll like it though because I like cars.
Oh yeah. The
I'm a big
Mustang.
car
The
buff.
Mustang plays a big part. Well, plays a
Mustang.
part in there. She's got a Mustang. And then
My very first car, Mustang.
And then I saw Harriet, which is about Harriet Tubman.
What do you do? Go to a movie every single day?
What do I have to do?
I don't know, but find a hobby. Go volunteer
I have
some
a
more.
hobby. I
Go
go to-
volunteer some more, for God's sake. Spread the movies out over the month.
Stop it. I want to tell you about.
Spread the movies out.
I want to tell you about Harriet before we go. I didn't know this about Harriet because first off, I didn't go to college. Maybe she would have been in history class. She was not introduced any of my U.S. history classes.
We talked
In
about. I
high
did a
school.
report on her when I was
Well,
at
you're young.
my Catholic school.
Oh, I didn't know she was Underground Railroad.
Yeah. Oh, but
And-
see, I grew up where the Underground Railroad was. In Orchard Park, they had the Underground Railroad, and we were able to go through it and see it. It was pretty badass. Just saying, we were progressive upstate New York. Go ahead.
So I didn't know about Harriet. And this movie is a depiction of her life
Mhm,
based on. And she really did some extraordinary things.
mhm.
And then when I came out, I was really pissed off because she was supposed to go on the $20 bill this year or next year. She
Oh, I
was-
didn't know that.
Yeah, she was chosen. I forget how the selection process was. And the Trump administration announced when
Leaving the old white
Steve-
guy on it on the
Steve
bill.
Mnuchin,
Yeah.
the Secretary of the Treasury, said, "Yeah, we're going to have to tweak this. So we're going to have to wait."
Yeah, we're going to keep the old white
Yeah,
guy
it's
on
gonna
it.
take us a
God forbid
while.
we put an
Yeah.
African American on the bill.
So she's been the
Ridiculous.
first African American. She would have been
That
the
would've
first
been cool.
African woman. And when you see her story, you're like, God, she certainly deserves a spot on the money. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
when you think about who's on money, what they did, what an extraordinary story. That's all I'm saying.
Was it bloody?
It inspired me. No, I don't think it was. Well, you asked this question.
Because I'm a wuss.
Well, what do you
I'll
call?
close my eyes. It's
Yeah,
okay.
there you go.
Mhm.
There you go. I mean, it's about the slaves. I mean,
I know.
there's some shooting.
I saw that slave. What was it? How many years a slave or whatever that was?
Yeah,
oh
I
my
didn't go
God.
see that. I didn't want to.
That was good.
Yeah.
That was phenomenal.
So,
Oh,
any of those movies would do if you're looking for one. Ford versus Ferrari with Matt Damon was okay. I didn't know.
I want to
about-
go see it.
I
Nobody
like.
gets killed. Okay, maybe there's a car crash, but not the same thing.
Carol Shelby who designed
Shelby Mustang.
the Shelby Mustang and the Shelby Cobra.
Yay.
I'll
take the Cobra.
I knew his name. I knew his car. I didn't know
The story.
the story. I didn't know that he produced a car which today stands as the only American-built car to win the Le Mans overseas 4 times.
It's awesome.
Yeah, which was he beat Ferrari.
Right.
I'm sorry if I spoiled them.
I think I knew that.
So Ford versus Ferrari. All right. So that's it. I'm going to teach meditation tomorrow night at the Buddhist Temple on Stultz Road, 8484 Stultz Road in Dallas, Texas.
The
That's
Buddhist Center, isn't
Richardson.
it called? What's the name of it? If
It's
they
called
Google
Buddhist
it,
Center of Dallas.
Buddhist Center of Dallas, Stultz Road.
You can find my Facebook group by looking up Buddhist Center of Dallas Meditation
There
Group.
you go.
Okay.
I'm not on that. I need to go find that.
Yes, you should.
Maybe I already am and just don't
And
know.
then the Cosmic Yogi Festival's over, but I'm guessing there's going to be another.
Yeah, Cosmic Yogi Festival coming up.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo!
She teaches yoga. I practice law.
I'm not real sure what I do. Just
Well,
saying.
stop me dead in my tracks. Here I am telling people you're a yoga teacher and a publisher of DallasYogaMagazine.com.
Oh, yeah.
And you just said, I don't know what you
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. I said I'm a lawyer, but to be
Yeah,
honest,
yeah. Let's be honest here.
I'm almost as far from being a lawyer as she is from being one.
Okay.
So anyways,
We'll see y'all soon next
yeah.
Tuesday to 6 o'clock.
You
I
can
almost said
reach
2
me-
o'clock. 6 o'clock.
You can critique the show by emailing me at ken@law-disorder.com. How simple and easy was that?
See you later. Ken Goldberg's Law and Disorder with me, AJ. Bye, y'all.
Bye. Oh, she's flying out of here. Something must have.